Good afternoon, traders, and welcome to this week's weekly market analysis class, Monday the 23rd of July. Before we get started, as always, please understand that any advice in today's session is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration. Okay, let's have a look at what's coming up this week in terms of news and major data. As you can see, it's a pretty quiet week, Monday, Tuesday, nothing much happening. But we do have locally from Australia on Wednesday the CPI numbers that are due out. The major news for the week, I guess, would be coming from Europe. It's the interest rate decision and the ECB press conference. So we're looking to see what they are planning to do. The plan on interest rates is they don't really think there's going to be any movement at all. But let's see what their press conference says. If they're planning that notorious easing of that tapering program that has been running now for a number of years. So let's see if there is any light shed onto that topic that could cause the markets to move a little. The other major news comes from the US. We have the crude oil inventories on the Thursday, but the core durable goods and the advanced GDP numbers, which are due out Thursday, Friday. The US at the moment is very much on the geopolitical front line with mainly China, with the trade wars and a little bit of currency wars now, which have got added to the, I guess you could say, to the agenda last Friday when Mr. Trump accused China of manipulating the FX markets after easing from the China side, which dropped the value of the yuan to the lowest rates in a very, very long time. So all that is happening during this period of aggression and war, or whatever we want to call it, conflict, trade conflict should I say. One thing that I should note is that the US stocks have remained at a high level. Their yields are still okay, and the US dollar has not really deteriorated. If anything, it has strengthened. So is it good for the US dollar? Is it not? That remains to be seen, but that's what's happening in terms of that front. So that is the major news for this week. So let's just jump straight into our first actually before I do that, based on the data that I am showing you, the Euro USD is probably the currency that is most likely that will be affected by straight out data releases. So just keep an eye out on that. And of course the times that I'm showing you are in my local time, which is Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I am located in Sydney. Alright, let's jump into the chart and our analysis. And our first chart that we will look at is the Aussie US dollar. Looking at this chart, I can see levels that I've left on my chart. I can see the support line. Let me just zoom out a little and have a bit of a closer look. And I can see that there is a support level that I had noted of interest. And particularly what I'm keen on and noting is that the market is coming and now it's starting to do this. And I just get the feeling that this is what is heavily on the cards. That remains to be seen, but so far the pattern is playing out to that. Let me zoom in a little bit and let's see if I can see anything further of note in there. Let me just jump over to a 4-hour chart. Okay, there is definitely congestion in this region. And what I mean by that is we can see that the market is zigzagging in here and it's still undecisive. Now, should it break up in this direction, then that pattern that I described earlier on the daily scale would not play out, but also it is very much on the cards as well. So we just need to see what happens. Currently where we are, we're in the middle of that congestion as well. So it's not the ideal place to be looking for a trade. So let me just jump back to that time, the daily scale, and you can see there what we're looking for. So look, well, I guess before I would take any type of action, look, it appears that we definitely are still in downtrend. We can see that the highs are getting lower, okay, and even if you call that a high, so we're getting that kind of step situation. We're walking down the stairs, you can think of it. Now this step here is a big platform because it has that level over here on the left hand side, which is a support level. So what we're looking for on this particular pair is, let's see if we can get a break, and then we would be looking for the trade then, or let's wait for it to move out of this area before we can actually take any action. So Aussie USD, the plan is to halt and wait and see what happens next. Okay, moving along, let's have a look at our Euro USD. Looking at my chart, I've got a couple of lines that I've left here. I'm on a 4-hour chart at the moment, and this looks to me that I was trying to look at the converging triangle, and it did get the breakout. Typically when these things happen, the expected level that we could see from that breakout is around about that region there. It hasn't reached it yet. You would not have been stopped out of this trade either, so it just remains to see what would happen on that particular one. That's a 4-hour, so let me go into the daily and get a better look at this. Let me get rid of these lines now because I don't need them anymore, but I'll still keep the bottom one. And let me just extend it across. I just want to see where it falls. No, it's not at the same level. Okay, this is a similar story to the Aussie, but I feel this one is, there could be, it's definitely converging in this region here. And again, we definitely, if it should come through here, the fall here is very, very big because there's a very, very empty area over here. The market has not traded in this area for a long time, which could open up a nice fall should we get good US dollar strength on this particular pair. As it stands right now, it is fighting. We really need to see it come back out of that area before I would be a buyer on this particular pair. So again, on the Euro USD right now where we are, there is really nothing available for us, so I'm just going to leave this one alone. So that's our Euro USD. US yen, let's move it along. Okay, we were looking at this falling channel for quite some time, and finally when, let me just zoom in a bit more so we can all see it a bit better. Finally, when the market came up to meet us in this area here, it just shot straight through it and didn't give us any signal. This is the beauty of trading price action. So we would have been looking for a price action reversal pattern to take that trade, but as you can see in this instant, it didn't happen at all and just shot straight through. So that means that we never triggered any trades, so there was no damage done. Now I can really get rid of these lines now as they no longer come into play. And let me start from scratch again. US yen, let's see what we can see. I'm going to mark out this level here because it appears it's a level of importance. And I'm marking that out because I can see that there's quite a few areas that it's come up to that. So let's see if it continues and does reach that level, but I'll just put a mark on it. I always try to leave marks on my charts to assist me. And let me just drop into a 4-hour chart for one moment. And this is what I'm looking for. I'm interested in this level here. Let me just beef up my line so I can see it a bit better. Okay, this is a 4-hour chart. If you look on a daily, it's got quite a steep angle, but on a 4-hour chart, it's actually quite a nice level. So I think the thing that is attracting me the most to this is if this market does come down into this area here and it can produce for us a price action reversal pattern, well then I'm definitely interested in taking the trade in that direction. So that's my US yen plan for this week. Let's look at the USCAD. Here's my USCAD chart. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Okay, this particular chart here, we are in a position. Okay, the first thing I can see is in here there is an inside candle situation which would open up an opportunity to trade in this direction right there, and that's ready to go right now. Of course via pending order, so should we break the high, then it's on. The only thing that concerns me is that high is higher than this high, so could that be the break of the trend? Actually, I'm just noticing something else now. The red candle here is a double fractal candle. You can see here it's got the fractal there and the fractal there. So just forget about what I said. Don't worry about that one. That cancels that out. So in this particular chart, it appears we are in uptrend, but the last high has not broken the previous high, so it could be a reversal sign. So what we'll do is we'll just sit and wait for this one. So USCAD, no action this week. GBPUSD. Okay, this one's been falling for quite some time, and that critical level, we came down and tried to fight back, but then it just fell through that level there. If I just zoom out and show you a little bit more of what I'm talking about, you can see that level related to this region over here. And I believe, this is just my personal opinion of course, I believe that when the market went down through there, there was many buyers that were just hanging on to this trade for dear life, and all of their stops would have been placed in this area here. Okay, so what's happened is the market's come down, hit all their stops, triggered a rush down, and then basically once all those orders are out of the market, new players have come in and basically pushed it up. So effectively it's kind of like the participants of the market have changed probably by about 30%. Okay, so all those people who are long holding for all that time, they're out of the markets. A lot of those accounts have been margin called out, and we've got a whole new set of players in the market, and they're usually the smarter money. So it would not surprise me if this went in that direction. However, from a technical point of view, I have no reason to look for that. So the only type of trade that I can look for from a technical point of view is I will look for some kind of price action to continue the trend down. Okay, I don't have it yet, so this one is on hold as well. Kiwi dollar, very similar looking chart to the GBPUSD, where we've broken down, we've come back, and now we're fighting in this area. Look, Kiwi dollar, if anything, it looks like it's the trading range is kind of getting a little bit on the narrow side, so it could be doing a little bit of this before it makes up its mind which direction. And considering the direction that it's coming from, if it does continue to play out this pattern, the most probable outcome would be this one, as I'm showing you. However, we can't speculate, and we just purely trying to trade the probabilities that we can see. So Kiwi dollar this week, there is nothing on for us as well. WTI Oil. Okay, from this chart we can see that I've been tracking a channel. We did get a nice opportunity at the other perimeter over here to take the trade in this direction. We quite did not reach this level when it came down just recently, so there's still probably a chance that it can come back down, and if it does reach this area here, well then this is the trade that we're looking for. Alternatively, we have to wait for the top perimeter up here somewhere, and then we would be looking for this trade as such. They're the most probable. I love channels. They are highly probable patterns, and when you get them in combination with price action, they do have a tendency to give us a high probable outcome. So let's wait for the perimeters, for the market to come to us, and should it do so, we shall be ready to take advantage of that position. Let's move along and let's have a look at gold. Okay, we're looking at gold, something very, very interesting here. If you recall, I had drawn a couple of lines on my chart. I wanted to mark out that low, so I drew this line across, and then I also wanted to pick up these points, and I drew this line across in that direction. Now when I zoom in, let me zoom into that cross section. We said if we were to get the right price action at that level, it would be something that is extremely high probable for us, and in fact we did. We got these two candles as such. Alright, however, that was the setup, but to trigger a trade we would have had to break the high there in this direction, but instead we broke the low, and then that's triggered the fall in the downside. So basically now all these lines, I can just basically get rid of them. They're no longer any good to me. What I was waiting for did not happen, and we have to start again from scratch. Starting from scratch, I'm just going to pick up the next level. I'm just going to grab this next line across just to see, just to keep a marker for me. But to be perfectly honest, this is downtrend 101, so what we really want is, let's see if we get some kind of price action activity happening, reversal pattern right there, well then we're going to be sellers and we're going to be selling into this trend. Okay, so there you have it, pretty straightforward. That's gold for this particular week. The last one for the week, the ASX 200. Let's have a look what's happening here. Okay, let me just zoom out. I've got some markings on my chart. What was I looking at? Okay, I've got a bottom line which I really like, so let's leave that one alone. And I had marked out a top line as well. So let's have a look. Did get price action. There is an engulfing candle pattern there. Okay, so if anybody took that, you would have entered the trade there to about there. It's very, very close to 1-to-1, so you may have reached your 1-to-1 target. If you didn't, let me just extend this line out now. Let me just extend it out a bit longer. So if I was looking to trade upwards, I don't have any signals in the up direction, so I guess what I would be looking for again now is, let's see if it comes and meets us and then trade in this direction. If you're already in this trade, you've probably hit your first target and you're probably chasing a second target, so you're hoping that it goes down and doesn't come up and meet us. But for those of us who are not in the trade, well then we would hope that it comes up, gives us the indication, the setup that we want, to give us an opportunity to enter this trade. Okay, so that's the ASX 200 for this week. Guys, just letting you know, there will be some changes coming up to the program very shortly. The program is beefing up and improving significantly. There will be a traders room added. There will be an opportunity to receive live SMS signals. The Platinum program is launching as well. So there's a whole bunch of changes that are happening. The weekly class will modify a little bit, but just you will hear from me. I'll send everybody out an email just so that you can understand what's happening and what the different options are for you. Okay, but in the meantime, I hope that you all continue following the classes, the daily call. Hope you all have a fantastic trading week, and if you do have any questions, please feel free to get in contact with us. I will speak to you next week for the weekly analysis class, or I'll speak to you tomorrow morning on the daily call. That's it. That's a wrap for today. Bye for now.